Hello everyone and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Remy's tight spot, Nick and Ridge's showdown, and Steffi's horrifying discovery. Ridge Forrester and Nick Marone will square off, and Steffi Forrester will have to deal with a terrifying discovery. Let's talk about what's upcoming on B&B because Remy Price can also end up in a difficult situation. Using a long lens, Luna Nozawa will prowl the beach over the week of June 16th to 20th in an attempt to catch a sight of Hayes Finnegan with Steffi. Later, Hayes will get a gift from Luna during a covert private visit. It will be much simpler for Luna to kidnap Hayes and provoke a horrible situation for Steffi if she can gain his trust. When Nick comes back, kisses her, and offers her another romantic path to follow, Brooke Logan's feelings will be all over the place. After learning of all the most recent events, Katie Logan will have a lot to say about Brooke's romantic life. Taylor Hayes will realize in the interim that Ridge isn't entirely over Brooke, particularly when his jealousy over Nick's pursuit of her erupts. A confrontation between Nick and Ridge is imminent, but it will primarily consist of Ridge snapping while a smug Nick has fun. There will be lots of fascinating clashes to watch as Taylor and Brooke continue to show animosity. When she contacts Daphne Rose and pressures her to go back to Los Angeles, Steffi will make Hope Logan uncomfortable. Since Hope is so fixated with Carter Walton, she will gripe about Steffi's attempts to bring the nose back, even though she would prefer that Daphne remain in Paris. Given that Luna is ready to proceed with her kidnapping plan, the week of June 23rd to 27th should see some increasing Hayes drama. If Steffi discovers Hayes has vanished, she might end up making a terrifying discovery. Steffi will need to exercise caution because Luna can get in touch with him shortly after and begin making demands. It is conceivable that Luna would urge that Steffi come to a remote area by herself. If Steffi gives in to her evil schemes, Luna may assure Hayes that she will be secure. Nevertheless, she may caution Steffi not to tell John Finnegan about this. Remy might find himself in a difficult situation, particularly if Sheila Sharp learns of Hayes' disappearance and believes Remy might know anything useful. It's important to remember that Remy might even be persuaded to watch Hayes for Luna while she battles Steffi. Keep an eye out for updates on Remy's next move, since Luna is a troublemaker who is ready to involve him in her issues. The waves crashed along the Malibu shoreline with a deceptive calmness, betraying none of the chaos about to erupt in Steffi Forrester's world, a world meticulously curated with love, family, and the illusion of control. But that illusion was about to shatter when she made a horrifying discovery that would send tremors through the Forrester legacy and expose hidden desires, old wounds, and new betrayals. It began quietly, innocuously, as most tragedies do. Luna Nozawa, once dismissed as just another emotionally volatile young woman on the fringe of Forrester drama, returned with a camera, a long lens, and an agenda that threatened to rip Steffi's life apart. Luna had been spotted lurking at the beach where Steffi played with her young son, Hayes Finnegan. With each click of her camera, Luna chronicled moments of maternal bliss, not out of admiration, but calculation. Something in Luna had broken the day she lost access to the Forrester power structure, and now, she was determined to reclaim relevance, even if it meant committing the unthinkable. Her plan was insidious. She would infiltrate Steffi's peaceful life, manipulate its most vulnerable point, Hayes, and initiate a crisis so profound it would bring Steffi to her knees. The first step? Gain Hayes' trust with a gentle smile and a gift she hoped would open the door to his heart and loosen Steffi's guarded grip. Meanwhile, Nick Marone returned to Los Angeles after a long absence, stirring a storm of emotions not only in Brooke Logan but in Ridge Forrester, whose jealousy smoldered beneath his polished surface. Nick's return was unexpected, but his agenda was clear: reignite a romance with Brooke. One Ridge had never fully accepted was over. When Nick pressed a kiss to Brooke's lips, her world tilted, memories flooded back, of yachts and passion and promises lost in the waves of time. Katie Logan, ever the observer, wasted no time voicing her concerns about Brooke's oscillating love life. To Katie, Brooke's attraction to Nick was more about rebellion than romance, a refusal to settle into the domesticity Ridge now offered. Yet Katie's words fell on deaf ears. Brooke was entranced, perhaps not by Nick himself, but by the notion of possibility, of something unfinished yet tantalizingly near. Ridge saw it, felt it, and hated it. He cornered Nick at Il Giardino, and what began as a tense exchange of words quickly evolved into a full-blown showdown. Ridge accused Nick of exploiting Brooke's vulnerability. Nick smirked, countering that Ridge had never deserved her loyalty in the first place. Their voices rose, patrons turned heads, and the history of two powerful men exploded in a spectacle of verbal warfare. Ridge, red-faced and seething, warned Nick to stay away from Brooke, his Brooke. But Nick, always one to enjoy the chaos, merely chuckled and walked away, leaving Ridge humiliated and angrier than ever. The fallout rippled across the Forrester family. Taylor Hayes, watching from the sidelines, saw Ridge's unresolved obsession with Brooke laid bare. Her heart, already bruised by Ridge's emotional inconsistency, grew heavier with the realization that she would always be second to Brooke in Ridge's heart. As Taylor struggled to maintain her composure, her once tenuous friendship with Brooke turned openly hostile. The two women, forever linked by Ridge's indecisiveness, clashed once again over everything from past betrayals to present manipulations, with their latest confrontation igniting fresh gossip across Los Angeles. Elsewhere, Steffi made moves of her own, contacting Daphne Rose and urging her to return from Paris. Daphne, known affectionately and mockingly as the Nose, had once shared a scandalous flirtation with Carter Walton, a secret Steffi believed could still be exploited. Hope Logan, already on edge over Steffi's increasing involvement in everyone's affairs, was furious when she learned of this. Hope saw Daphne's return as a threat, especially with Carter now firmly in her sights. She warned Steffi to back off, accusing her of meddling in things that didn't concern her, but Steffi, ever the strategist, ignored the protests. She believed Daphne's presence could expose truths Hope wanted buried. However, Steffi's strategic prowess failed to detect the danger brewing under her own roof. The week of June 23 to 27 marked the escalation of Luna's plan. With chilling precision, Luna executed her next move, snatching Hayes from under Steffi's watch. When Steffi stepped out briefly to answer a call, Luna, already nearby and monitoring the home's security blind spots, slipped in and took Hayes. The realization dawned slowly. Steffi, returning to a quiet living room, called out for her son. No answer. Panic rising, she searched every room, her voice growing hoarse, her steps frantic. The horrifying discovery came when she saw the back door slightly ajar, Hayes' favorite toy abandoned on the ground. The air left her lungs. She screamed for Finn, dialed emergency services, but deep down, she knew this wasn't a random act, this was personal. Luna didn't wait long to make contact. She sent Steffi a cryptic message, "Come alone. No police. No Finn. Or you'll never see Hayes again." The message included GPS coordinates to a secluded beach house and a chilling image of Hayes holding the same toy Steffi had found, proving he was alive, for now. Steffi's heart shattered, but her resolve hardened. She left a note for Finn, vague but reassuring, and drove to the destination alone. The confrontation between Luna and Steffi was raw, emotional, and terrifying. Luna, now fully unhinged, demanded Steffi issue a public statement acknowledging Luna as a rightful member of the Forrester legacy. She wanted power, respect, and most of all, visibility. Steffi tried to reason with her, appeal to her empathy, but Luna was beyond logic. Meanwhile, Remy Price found himself pulled into the drama against his will. Remy, a charming but under-the-radar tech consultant with ties to both Luna and the Forresters, had been manipulated into helping Luna babysit Hayes. She told him it was temporary, that she just needed a friend to watch the child while she handled a situation. But as Hayes cried and Remy realized what was really happening, panic set in. He wanted out, but Luna had leverage. She hinted at exposing Remy's past, dredging up secrets he'd buried, and twisted his arm into compliance. Sheila Sharp, ever the opportunist, smelled blood in the water when news of Hayes' disappearance leaked. She tracked Remy down, suspecting he knew more than he let on. Cornering him at an old cafe near downtown, she grilled him for answers, making it clear she would use any means necessary to get information. Remy, sweating and cornered, tried to play dumb, but Sheila could see through him. She warned that if he didn't come clean, others would suffer. The walls were closing in. Back at the beach house, Steffi, forced to play Luna's game, agreed to the initial demands, hoping to buy time. She cradled Hayes the moment Luna allowed her to see him, promising he'd be safe, but Luna wasn't finished. She wanted an official press conference, a full Forrester endorsement, and a new executive title. Steffi agreed to everything, but secretly activated a GPS beacon hidden in her shoe, one developed by Quinn Fuller years earlier during a security overhaul. As police and Finn closed in, tensions peaked. Luna realized she'd been tricked and grew desperate, threatening to vanish with Hayes again. But Remy, unable to bear the guilt, finally turned on her, tackling Luna just long enough for Steffi to grab Hayes and flee. Authorities arrived moments later. Luna was arrested, ranting about her right to power, her stolen legacy. Steffi, sobbing with relief, held Hayes close, refusing to let him go. Finn, catching up moments later, swept them both into his arms. The horrifying discovery had nearly destroyed their family, but they had survived, barely. The aftermath rippled across Los Angeles. Nick's pursuit of Brooke intensified now that Ridge was distracted and emotionally vulnerable. Ridge, shaken by the crisis, tried to refocus on Taylor, but the damage was done. Taylor withdrew, tired of competing with Brooke's ghost. Brooke, torn between two men and riddled with guilt over her part in the rivalry, sought counsel from Eric, who offered wisdom but no clear path. Hope clashed with Steffi over Daphne's return and the moral cost of using people as pawns. Carter, caught in the middle, grew distant from both women. And Remy? Though cleared of charges, he left town quietly, disillusioned and ashamed. Luna's trial loomed ahead, promising more scandal and headlines. But for now, Steffi had Hayes back, and that was all that mattered. The family gathered at the Forrester estate to celebrate, though a heaviness lingered. Trust had been broken, lines crossed, and hearts fractured. As champagne flowed and polite smiles masked deeper tensions, one truth hung in the air like perfume: in Los Angeles, nothing stayed buried for long. Love, loyalty, and legacy would always clash beneath the surface. And the next storm? It was already brewing. Is Brooke alone when she falls off the wagon? On The Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke Logan is struggling and finds it difficult to get over her split with Ridge Forrester. Ridge isn't ready to forgive Brooke for her betrayal, even though the takeover at Forrester Creations has subsided. Is it possible for Brooke to go through her heartbreak without drinking? Over the years, Brooke Logan has had intermittent alcohol-related problems. Brooke's love life and her struggle with alcohol tend to be related. The lingerie model has a tendency to reach for alcohol if she is unattached. It's also safe to say that Brooke has never felt so alone. Will Nick be able to free Brooke from the bottle? According to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke's ex-boyfriend Nick Marone is headed to Los Angeles, and there are rumors that they might get back together. However, that doesn't mean Brooke won't reach her lowest point before Nick Marone saves her. In fact, there are rumors that Nick will be a part of a delicious plot. Does attempting to get Brooke sober again have anything to do with it? Without Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan appears to be lost. Adding insult to injury, it doesn't help that he went on with her opponent, Taylor Hayes. Viewers of Bold and Beautiful knew that Taylor and Ridge would soon be together again when she returned to Los Angeles. The strange woman now is Brooke. Hope attempts to divert Brooke BMB's attention. According to teasers, Hope Logan will attempt to divert her mother's attention by arranging her engagement and wedding, but this will only make Brooke feel worse about Bridge's breakup. After a breakup, who wants to assist someone else with their wedding planning? Will Nick Marone be able to save Brooke in time, in your opinion? Or will Hope's lonely mother drink too much? Is Brooke abandoning the plan once more? Brooke Logan stood in the Forrester estate garden, the cool evening breeze ruffling her golden hair as she wrapped her arms around herself, staring up at the stars with glassy eyes that shimmered under the moonlight, not with wonder, but with sorrow. It had been weeks since Ridge had walked away from her, his jaw tight with betrayal, his eyes avoiding hers as he packed up what was left of their life together into silence and distance. The takeover at Forrester Creations had come and gone, a storm that nearly shattered the fashion empire, and yet it was the storm inside Brooke's heart that continued to rage, louder, crueler, and far more destructive. Ridge wasn't in a hurry to forgive her, not this time, and Brooke couldn't even blame him. She had made mistakes, again. She had trusted the wrong people, said the wrong things, and even now, her lips trembled with words she should have said and didn't. She had been here before, countless times in fact. Brooke Logan, the perennial beauty, the face of the company's most iconic lingerie campaigns, the woman with a heart too big and a pattern too familiar, falling in love, falling apart, falling off the wagon. As much as she wanted to believe she was stronger this time, the truth was she wasn't. And she knew at the moment she walked past the liquor cabinet in her living room, her fingers twitching as her eyes landed on the decanter filled with amber temptation. No one understood what it was like to be Brooke Logan. To love Ridge Forrester with the kind of soul-consuming passion that turned every breath into a memory of him, every empty room into a reminder of their shared past, every mirror into a window of regret. He had left her before, yes, but this time he had left her for Taylor, again, and that wound cut deeper than usual. Taylor wasn't just a rival, she was the symbol of everything Brooke feared: constancy, serenity, motherhood without drama. Taylor had the quiet calm of a woman who didn't implode when things went wrong, and Ridge seemed to crave that now. Brooke could see it in his eyes when he looked at Taylor, the longing for peace. With Taylor back in town, it had only been a matter of time. Brooke had tried to act unbothered, had tried to support Hope with her engagement plans, attending bridal appointments and dress fittings with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. But it wasn't easy. Hope meant well, of course. Sweet, stubborn, loyal Hope, who had her own share of heartbreak, tried to keep her mother afloat with flower arrangements and cake tastings. Yet every ring fitting and every rehearsal dinner planning session only drove home the cruel irony: Brooke was planning a new beginning for someone else while mourning the end of her own. She would go home from Hope's house and sit alone on the couch, surrounded by silence and memories, and sometimes, she'd pour herself a drink just to hold it, just to remember what control felt like. She wouldn't drink it, at least not right away, but the temptation simmered like an itch beneath the skin. It became a nightly ritual, her version of Russian roulette. And then came the night she finally gave in. The night she looked at the glass in her hand and no longer had a reason to put it down. The burn down her throat was oddly comforting, a return to something she'd fought so hard to leave behind. She told herself it would be just one. But one drink turned into two, and two became a bottle, and then she woke up on her bedroom floor the next morning, mascara smeared, memories hazy, and the distinct ache of shame heavy in her chest. She had fallen off the wagon, and no one even knew, yet. She told herself it was a slip, a moment of weakness, a secret she could bury under concealer and breath mints. But the bottle was already back on the kitchen counter the next night. And that was the scariest part, how easily it all came back: the hiding, the lying, the numbness. She started dodging Hope's calls, claiming migraines or last-minute meetings. She didn't want to ruin her daughter's joy with her own despair. And then, just as the fog began to thicken, just as Brooke began to feel the walls close in, she heard the news: Nick Marone was back in Los Angeles. The moment his name floated through the grapevine, Brooke felt a shift. Nick. The man who once steadied her, who once saw past her scandals and sins and chose her anyway. Their past was complicated, full of heat and hurt, but there was no denying the power of their connection. And now, rumor had it that Nick wasn't just passing through. He was staying. And more than that, he might be looking for her. It stirred something in Brooke she hadn't felt in weeks, a flicker of hope, perhaps, or maybe just the distraction of an unresolved past. Could Nick save her from herself? Or was she already too far gone? The whispers said he was going to be part of a juicy storyline, and Brooke couldn't help but wonder, was it hers? Would he walk into her life just as she hit rock bottom? Would he be the one to find her passed out on the couch, the bottle empty on the table, her pride shattered like glass on the floor? And would he still see the woman he once loved beneath all the ruin? Brooke didn't know. But she found herself looking out her window at night, wondering if he was nearby. If he still remembered the way she smiled when she wasn't pretending. In the meantime, she tried to hold herself together. She'd go to work, plaster on her facade, throw herself into fashion shows and board meetings, but it all felt hollow. The designs were beautiful, but they couldn't fill the void. Ridge had moved on, Taylor's laughter echoed in the Forrester halls, and Brooke was a ghost in her own legacy. Every room she entered felt colder without him, every glance from her coworkers tinged with pity. Even Eric, dear sweet Eric, didn't know what to say anymore. He had stood by her through countless storms, but even he sensed this one might be different. The loneliness had teeth now. And it bit down harder with each passing day. She missed her sister Katie, but even that relationship had grown distant. She had pushed too many people away, too many times. And when she wasn't drinking, she was thinking about drinking, and when she was drinking, she was trying not to think at all. The cycle was cruel and relentless. Hope tried, of course. She showed up with pastries and pep talks, and for a moment, Brooke would feel tethered again. But as soon as Hope left, the silence returned, more deafening than ever. It was in that silence that Brooke found herself talking to Ridge, imagining him in the room, asking him why he gave up, why he always ran back to Taylor when things got hard. She would speak into the emptiness, tears slipping down her cheeks, words slurring sometimes, heart unraveling. And sometimes, in those late-night monologues, she'd convince herself that he still loved her, that he would come back. But he didn't. Days blurred into nights, and the headlines at Forrester shifted to new scandals, new affairs, new drama. But Brooke was slipping, fading into the background. Until one day, Nick showed up at her door. He was older, yes, and a little rough around the edges, but his eyes still held that same stormy warmth she remembered. He didn't say much at first. Just looked at her, really looked at her. And she broke. The tears came fast and hard, and the truth poured out like a confession. She told him about Ridge, about the bottle, about the nights she spent curled on the floor, begging the universe for a do-over. And Nick, to his credit, didn't judge. He just held her, his arms strong and steady, and whispered that she wasn't alone anymore. Brooke wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that someone still saw her as worth saving. That maybe, just maybe, she could climb out of the darkness. But recovery wasn't linear, and love wasn't a magic fix. There would be setbacks. There would be nights she still craved oblivion. But now, she had someone who knew her cracks and still chose to stand by her. Maybe Nick couldn't fix everything. Maybe Ridge was truly gone for good. But in that moment, wrapped in the arms of an old flame and a new hope, Brooke Logan took her first sober breath in weeks and whispered to herself that she was still here. Still standing. Still fighting. And maybe, just maybe, she could make it after all.